What is up, everybody, and welcome back to episode 13 of From the Interns. We're back after Georgia's almost bye week win over Charlotte. 35-3 was the final. All rushing touchdowns, all touchdowns on the ground. Got to see Ryan Puglisi, got to see Ryan Montgomery. Gunnar Stockton was out midway through the third quarter. Nate Frazier, 2 touchdowns. Bo Walker, 3 touchdowns. The true freshman. And once again, it looks like Georgia has another running back hidden away in the back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to see a lot of different players seeing the field like he was talking about. Nate Frazier, Bo Walker kind of took the way in terms of scoring and just, any highlights that you might see out there on the internet or online, whatever. But yeah, it was just a good weekend of rest, I think one of the biggest things that Kirby kept talking about was just senior day, it's a day game, but just all the things this class has accomplished. I mean, national title if they were their freshman year, SEC titles, just, great home wins, college football playoff appearances. I mean, the list goes on and on. Lots of just individual accomplishments and team accomplishments that we've seen over the past few years. And it's just, says a lot about what this program's done over the past few years and just how Kirby Smart has built what's been one of the best college football programs in the country ever since, around COVID is about the time that it started to trek up for Georgia. But it's been pretty cool to see, and this senior class has seen a lot. So that's really, not really much to talk about in terms of the Charlotte game, if we're being completely honest. We kind of everybody knew the outcome of that one, but it was just really just resting up and getting ready for what's going to be a good game and, the Benz this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but really, it was a good weekend to watch a lot of other football games. Really, first thing that stuck out to me was the Oregon win over USC. They looked pretty impressive there. I honestly thought USC was going to keep it close. I thought maybe they'd cover that 10.5-point spread, whatever it was. But, yeah, they just played well, and they did what they needed to do, and it seems like Oregon's pretty much a shoo-in for the college football playoff.
Yeah, another unlock by me there. I had USC plus 10.5 last weekend, and Oregon's a good team. It was pretty evident. USC has a good defense, and Oregon was able to slow them down. That's a big game there. Oregon, like Matthew said, is pretty much walking into the playoff there. And then Oklahoma beats Missouri 17-6, just dominant defensive performance there. Once again, it's one of those games where Missouri has a very good defensive line. You think they have a chance, but they just weren't able to get anything done on offense. And so a win over LSU next weekend, and they are also going to be in the playoff. Oklahoma's been turning heads definitely since that Tennessee and Alabama win.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
both of those on the road.
I think a lot of people wrote them off. Obviously, they were sitting there with 2 losses before Tennessee, and everybody's like, oh, well, their season's over. They're not going to win that game. Well, they won that one. And then it's okay, well, they might have won that one, then they're just going to lose to Alabama. They won that one. Both those games are on the road. So, I mean, they've completely turned things around for what, after Mateer went down, seemed like it would just kind of be a disappointing end of the season. But you got to give a lot of credit to them. They've just found themselves probably going to the college football playoff as long as everything stays on track for them for rivalry weekend. But biggest score was Notre Dame's 70-7 win over Syracuse. I mean, Jeremiah Love and the Irish just continue to just dominate their teams that they're playing right now. I think they've won 9 games in a row, maybe something like that. I mean, it's honestly impressive to see. And obviously, the big conversation right now is Miami over Notre Dame. They won head-to-head, but it just seems like the committee and a lot of people across the nation are just looking at Notre Dame as a team that needs to be in the playoff, just considering they're just absolutely dismantling their teams they're playing, regardless of if Syracuse is a good team or not, which it doesn't really seem like that is true after all the injuries they've had, I think, at the quarterback position this year. But, I mean, yeah, they're just playing really good football right now, and I think there's a lot of teams across the nation that would not want to play them right now over Miami, which I think is what the committee's basing their decisions on right now. We'll have to see what happens there with the rankings.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame, since those first 2 losses, has just been on a clear upwards trajectory, and I think that Syracuse touchdown came with about 15 seconds left.
Right.
I think it was 70-0 with 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and Syracuse scored there to get rid of the donut. But they've just been dismantling teams, and I think they have a very solid argument. We saw what they were able to do last year Riley Leonard's gone, and now you've got, I mean, the incoming freshman that has just been able to sort of figure it out since those first two losses. Grown a lot. They've got a good team. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is one of, if not the best running back in college football. So they've made a case, and they'll probably be in there.
Yeah. Yeah, BYU got the big win over Cincinnati. That was a pretty good game, actually. For the most part, Cincinnati missed a couple field goals late, and throughout most of the game, they just could not put points on the board. BYU, just their strong run game, their big physical quarterback, they just continue to grind out these wins. And like I've been saying this over the past few weeks, it just seems like everybody's ready to write off BYU, but they're hanging around right there, right outside the top 10. And I'm pretty sure if they win in their final regular season game, they're going to get a shot to avenge their loss to Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship, and that'd put them right in the playoff race. And it'd be interesting to see what happens even if they somehow lose that game and there's chaos above them in the college football rankings with, anything can happen in rivalry weekend. I can't say that. Whatever. Rivalry weekend. And so we'll just have to see where that goes. But biggest game, everybody was watching it, national television. Pittsburgh comes into Georgia Tech. It's their biggest game
20 years
in a long time.
At Bobby Dodd.
And they get flat out embarrassed against Pittsburgh. They fell 42-28. I mean, Pittsburgh just came out at the start and just completely dominated them. You were there. If you want to talk a little bit about it.
I had the fortunate pleasure of getting some tickets from one of my buddy's dads, and very grateful for that. But right after we wrapped up the interviews and everything with the players and Kirby, me and one of my roommates hopped in the car, drove over to Atlanta. We pretty much got there 10 minutes into the first quarter. We're walking up ESPN. It's 14-0. Take a step into the stadium, can see through. We take a second to watch one play because, Tech's driving down the field and Haynes King throws a pick. Wasn't the first one of the night. He threw a pick six from around the 5. And it seemed like after that first quarter, I mean, it's 28-0. They had a last-second field goal attempt in the first half. Pitt did. Tech jumps off sides, they get another shot at it, and they miss. And from there on, you feel a little bit of the momentum trying to build up because everyone understands how big this game is. My buddy that his dad gave me the tickets was saying this is the biggest game they've had here in 20 years, biggest game in Bobby Dodd, biggest season, run, and Brent Key's been putting Tech on that upwards trajectory as well. And you walk in there, Tech starts to figure it out on defense. They're able to make some stops. They're able to put points on the board. And then right when Haynes King throws that 95-yard pick six, that's when it's just the crowds, the life is just sucked out of them. It's a 14-point swing. They're down 14, about to score, about to be down 7, and then they go down, I think they went down 21. So big deal there. They still almost had a chance at it. And it was just Pitt controlled the game based off how they performed in the first half. Haynes King continues to be the guy that, he's tucking it. The whole crowd's going to erupt. It doesn't matter if he's 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, hasn't gained a single yard. They're going to erupt because they know he makes things happen. And he probably, I don't know, the stat line had probably 80 to 100 rushing yards in that game, and he just continues to get beat up and take hits for this team, and he's a difference maker for them, obviously. But when he throws that pick, you've got people in the crowd saying, I mean, they want the backup, they want Aaron Philo, and they are just fed up with it. They were just visibly very disappointed in the performance, as anyone would be when you go down 28-0 and aren't able to make the comeback. But now it puts Tech sort of in the position where you have to probably beat Georgia by a significant amount if you want to have a chance at the playoff. And so it's, again, you have a Tech team with nothing to lose. You have a Brent Key that hates Georgia, and you're going into a game short rest for both teams on Friday. Thankfully for Georgia, they got to take their starters out early with playing Charlotte. Tech kept their starters in the entire game. So a little bit of an upper hand there with Georgia, but this game is always close every time. Doesn't matter when it's played, where it's played, how it's played. This game is going to be close. And I will say, put a little bit of confidence in me for Georgia,
Definitely,
especially over how Georgia's looked over the past 3 weeks and how rough Tech has looked recently and how they've sort of just scraped by with some wins.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I still think Tech is probably better than Pittsburgh. They've had a better season. They've looked better for the most part of the year, but that's no excuse. Pittsburgh, they came out, they had a better game plan, they executed better from the start of the game, and they just flat out dominated to the point where it didn't matter that I don't even know how many points they scored in the second half. It couldn't have been much. Pittsburgh.
Pitt had, I want to say, what was the final?
It was
42-28.
42-28.
They had 2 touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like they came out and they got out to a massive lead, and then from that point on, they pretty much just ran the ball and contained the clock and just won the game. I mean, that's just, in my opinion, that's just a complete failure on Brent Key's part. I really don't know. Were they looking ahead to Georgia? It's possible. I doubt it. I hope they would doubt it, just considering this is a must-win for them if they wanted to have any shot at the playoff. But they just completely came out and they were just hit in the face from the first play, and they just never really came back up. I mean, they had their chances to get back in it, but turnovers and, bad plays, bad throws, bad drops, all this different stuff. I mean, and they just didn't execute what they needed to do. So, like he was saying, it's pretty much a desperate, has nothing really else to play for except the fact to beat Georgia for the most part, unless, like he was saying, they get a huge win against Georgia. But it's just, it's always going to be a good game. It's, this one is one of those where a lot of people thought that this could at one point be a top 10 matchup, but now you've got Georgia Tech, who barely sits inside the top 25 right now in the AP poll. But, I mean, over the past few years, Georgia Tech's still been playing some pretty good football, but it's just good to see this rivalry back a little bit. It's good for football. There are a few years back in the little bit ago where Georgia was just completely dominating this rivalry. Georgia Tech would win like 2 games a year, and it was just honestly nobody to really talk about it. But it's honestly good to see this game being back to where it was because, some of my first memories as a Georgia fan, I'm sure he can attest, is just, every game at the end of the year, both teams are sitting at like 8-3, whatever, and just this game was always a slugfest. Both teams just wanted to win because they wanted to win the game. It didn't matter about, the transfer portal or NIL. It didn't matter about, what bowl game they were going to. All it mattered is they hated the other one and they just wanted to win the game. So I think there'll be a little bit of that feel this weekend, kind of like we saw last year where Georgia Tech had all the chances to win. So it's going to be a lot of fun this weekend.
Yeah, and hopefully C.J. Allen will be back for this one for the Dogs. He was walking around sort of leading that linebacker group, even though he was dealing with his injury. We'll see how he's looking. Kirby didn't, I don't think, provide much of an update on how if he's going to play or not, but him and Chauncey were both either week to week or day to day, so there's a chance both of them could be playing if needed. Georgia's a 12.5-point favorite in this game, and I think it makes sense.
It does
I think
make
last
sense
year
after the way
Georgia
they
was, I want to say, a 16.5-point favorite in the game that went to 8 overtimes. So never trust Vegas in this game. It's always a slugfest.
Never trust Vegas on rivalry weekend because anything can happen. It's actually
never trust Vegas on any weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
And I guess with that, we skipped past
That's
it.
my fault.
We skipped past it. It was a quick transition, but it's okay.
That's on me.
It's okay. Everyone knows where we're going with this. It's pizza performance of the week. This week, Charlotte, I mean, come on. It's one of the worst teams in college football. Georgia gets a 35-3 win. Doesn't really have to dig the boots into the ground too hard. Doesn't have to pull out any crazy stops, any crazy stunts. So with that, Georgia got the job done. We're going with a Lunchables pepperoni pizza. One of those little ones that's just you're a little hungry. You got your little Lunchables pizza. It's nice and cold, maybe a little soggy. Maybe it's not the greatest, but, I mean, it gets the job done, and that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. So we are going with a Lunchables pepperoni pizza on this Georgia win over Charlotte.
Yeah, and with that, we'll get into locks of the week.
Unlocks
or
of the
as
week.
he likes to say, unlocks of the week. Yeah, rough for me last week. I had Georgia Tech winning that game, and they did not win, obviously, like we talked about. I had Kentucky covering the 9.5 point spread over Vanderbilt, and they got smoked. So this week I'm going back to it. I'm fading Vanderbilt, and I like Tennessee minus 2.5 over Vanderbilt. This one's at home for Tennessee. I'm pretty sure Heupel's never lost to Vanderbilt in his time in Knoxville.
Oh, see ya.
So I'm going to stick with that. I think Tennessee wins this game, and I think they'll win their bowl game, and they'll end up with a 10-win season, which I think, can be good for that program. So I'm going to roll with Tennessee minus 2.5 at home in the rivalry weekend. I'm not going to say it again. They're going to beat Vanderbilt. And then everybody's talking about this game. This is the big one, Georgia fans are going to be watching. And unfortunately, it's right after the Georgia game, which for us, we're not really going to get to watch a lot of it, or at least maybe not the first half. But I'm going A&M minus 2.5 over Texas. A&M's just really good, and I know that everybody wants Texas to win so that Georgia can make the SEC championship game, but I see A&M winning this game. They're just really good, and like we've seen and like I talked about a little bit last week, Texas is good this year. Nationally, they're one of the top 25 teams, so they're a good football team. They can win some games, but when it comes down to it, when they play some of the top teams in the country, they just don't have what they need to do. And I understand that it's at Texas, and I understand that everybody wants Texas to win this game so Georgia can be in the title game, all that stuff. But I just think A&M's got too much to handle for Texas, so I'm taking Texas A&M minus 2.5.
But guess what? You want Georgia in the title game? I'm going Auburn plus 6.5 over Alabama, but not only that. Give me the Tigers to take down Alabama using that Jordan Hare dark magic that they have over there in that stadium. Night game, Iron Bowl Saturday night. I think Deuce Knight could be the fuse that Auburn's been looking to light. And I know he played against Mercer, but he had 6 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure. He's the 5-star guy that's coming in and turning heads. So give me him to do something crazy over Alabama, and give me dogs in the SEC championship against A&M. Don't think we're going to be playing Alabama again there. And somehow Georgia is the favorite to win the SEC championship, which means someone up there, one of the higher-ups, is thinking they're going to make the game. And we both agree that if that happens, it's going to be off of an Auburn upset over Alabama. So give me the Tigers plus 6.5 over Alabama. And then next up, it's the year. Hasn't happened since 2019. Ohio State's going to beat Michigan, but not only – are they going to beat Michigan? They're going to cover the 9.5-point spread. Julian saying Jeremiah Smith, if he's back, not even sure, but doesn't matter. No Jeremiah Smith, no problem. Ohio State's covering over Michigan. They are incredibly due. Like I said, haven't won this game since 2019, which is just incredible to think about because of all the talent that has come through that program since then. I think they're going to get the job done, and I think they're one of, if not the best team in college football, so why not cover that rivalry spread?
Yeah, I think Michigan's missing some running backs. I think that's one of the things they've struggled with this year is injuries at the running back position, which is something they always like to have as a really good running back, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this weekend. College football fans should be really excited for this weekend. There's going to be a lot of good football on. It's starting to get to that time of year where it feels like there's really good football on every day of the week, which is always fun if you're big football fans like us. So, yeah, I mean, also NFL on Thanksgiving, that's always fun to watch. So just, watch some of that, eat some good food with family, and then get ready for a big matchup in the Benz with the Yellow Jackets. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. Y'all all have a great, safe weekend. Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving week. Black Friday, football. That Saturday is rivalry weekend.
Yeah,
there we go. I can say it. I can say it. I mean, I was kind of worried there. Not gonna lie, that was the first attempt.
I won't be.
But we hope everyone has a good week and good weekend watching football this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like and give us a little score prediction for Georgia versus Texas in the Benz. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.